Okay, we'll start. Okay, so before we go into today's topic, we are going to do a general review of last class, that is theory class 2. So we saw the 4 parts of yoga. So quickly overview that. We saw 4 purusharthas, that is the human goals, artha, kama, dharma, and moksha, and ashramas, the stages of human life, that is brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa, and 4 parts of yoga. It's karma, bhakti, jnana, raja yoga, that is ashtanga yoga, and ashtanga, that 8 limbs are yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Okay, so now today's topic is Shat Kriyas or Shat Karmas, that is 6 cleansing or purification techniques. So before we move into the topic, let's see what is cleansing and why purification. Is it really needed? So there are just normal questions that everyone has. Before we move into the topic, we'll just see with an example. Say that you're buying a new car or something. So you now and then you will try to do a servicing, like say oil change or tire rotation. All these things have to be done to just maintain your car in good condition. The same way, so the human body needs certain kind of cleansing or purification now and then to keep them in good health. So these are the techniques, that is Neti, Dauti, Basti, Nauli, Kapalabhati, and Trataka. So probably you are familiar with Kapalabhati and Trataka because we have done these 2 in classes before. So is one more thing before we move into saying, do everybody can do it? The answer is clear cut no. You have to do with a professionally trained person in along with you when you do these kind of techniques. And why you shouldn't do it alone? In the sense, say if again we take with an example. Say if a car has engine damaged, I mean some problem with an engine, or say the tire is flat, so changing the oil or the rotating the tire doesn't help in this case. The same way, each body is different. So you have to know which way or which is suitable for you. So some professionally guided, uh, professionally trained person can train you. So in case if you have any common ailments or anything, so this by doing this will do more harm than helping you. So before we move into the topics, again, there is a warning I'm going to give you. Do not try this at home. Okay. Now, Shat Kriyas are designed to make human body both healthy and strong. Shat is Sanskrit, means 6. Kriya means technique or a method. So these are a set of yogic purification described in Hatha Yoga Pradipika. So when they say Hatha Yoga Pradipika, this belongs to Ashtanga Yoga, what we saw the 4 parts of yoga. So their purpose is to remove gross impurities, cure a range of diseases, and to prepare the body for the main work of yoga towards, that is, moksha, the liberation. So these are the preliminary steps towards advanced practices of meditation, pranayama, and asanas to make both the body and mind fit for higher practices of Raja Yoga, that is Ashtanga Yoga. So eliminate toxins, making body strong and clean, improve concentration, making our body free from diseases. Also helps us to improve the movement of prana into the organs and nadis. Now we will see those, what are the Shat Kriyas. So the first one is Neti Kriya, Dauti, Basti, Nauli, Kapalabhati, and Trataka. So Neti Kriya is cleansing of your nasal passage, that is your nostrils. So this can be done with jala, that is water, sheer, milk, tail or oil, grith, ghee, sutra or thread. We are going to go into detail of each one. Now Dauti Kriya is cleansing of whole digestive tract. And Basti Kriya is cleansing of the colon. And Nauli Kriya is a navel rotation for purifying abdominal organs. And Kapalabhati, forceful breathing process for purifying the skull and brain. And Trataka, the continuous gazing, that is eye cleansing process. Now we will see one by one. So this is Neti. So Jala Neti and the Sutra Neti are the 2 common techniques still people use. So you might have seen this Neti pot and the Sutra. These are the modern neti pot and sutra that we still use in procedures. So we will see Jalaneti. It is a procedure of cleaning the nasal passages using a neti pot with warm saline water. So place the spout on the left nostrils, bend to your right, and allow the water from the left nostril into the nasal cavity, which then comes out through your right nostrils. And repeat the other side. So don't try this at home if you're not comfortable. I mean, if you are new or beginner, please, any kriyas have not to be done at home without any help. So repeat the other side. So there will be if excess water inside. To clear out the excess water, blow out the water by the active exhalation through alternate nostrils as Kapalabhati. So you all know what is Kapalabhati, is forceful exhalation, right? So same way, you just close one nostrils and do the same forceful exhalation to remove the excess water. And Sutra Niti. So the rubber catheter sutra is inserted into one nostrils and then pulled out through your throat. So the nostril passage is cleansed by using gentle to and fro movement of the catheter tube. And repeat the other side. So the advanced practitioners insert the catheter into one nostrils and then pull it from the other nostrils. So I think I have a video in YouTube for Jalaneti. You can watch that Sutraneti. I'll try to upload it soon. And we will move on to the next. So we will see the benefits and precautions for before doing neti or after you doing neti. These are the benefits. So these clear the nostrils to allow free breathing, reduce pollen or allergens in nasal passages, relieve nasal dryness, reduce cold and flu symptoms, alleviate sinus headaches, improve sense of smell and taste, reduce snoring, cures headache, insomnia, drowsiness, sinus, and nasal allergies. It clears mucus deposit, nasal congestion, and it's effective in dealing with asthma, bronchitis, and migraine. So, what are the precautions for neti doing before neti? Is the nose should be dried properly after the process. Once you have done, make sure you are completely dried. If not, there is water inside that will create a headache and do some damage inside. So, water have to be completely dried. And do not practice if you have a severe cold or suffering from earache. Now we will move on to the next, Dauti. And types of Dauti Kriya. General common ones are Antardauti, Danta Dauti, Hrid Dauti, and Mula Shodhana. So we will see what it is. Antar, you all know by the meaning, it's Antar is internal. So Antar Dauti is internal cleansing. So it's a procedure in which the interior of the body is cleansed. It is of below mentioned of 4 subtypes. That is Vatasara Dauti, Varisara Dauti, Agnisara or Vagnisara Dauti, and Bahiskrita. So we'll just see what it is. Vatasara Dauti, as it's called, wind passing. So that purifying the stomach by means of air. So Varisara Dauti is water passing, cleansing the gut by drinking warm salty water. And Agnisara or Vagnisara Dauti is heat passing, so activating the digesting fire. And Bahiskrita, the cleaning of intestine through held air. So we are going to look only the common ones still in practice, but I'm just going to give you a gist of everything, so just to know what all there. Okay. So now Danta Dauti comprises of methods of cleansing the teeth and mouth. So there are again, these are of 5 types as mentioned below. Danta Mula Dauti, that is cleansing the roots of the teeth, gums, and teeth. Jigva Mula Dauti, that is cleansing of root of the tongue. Karna Dauti, that is ear cleansing. Kapala Randra Dauti, that is cleansing of forehead near the nasal bridge. And Chakshu Dauti, it's cleansing of eyes. Now, Hrid Dauti actually means heart cleansing. Hrid means heart, but it is not possible to cleanse the heart. So actually in Hrid Dauti, different methods are explained which help in cleansing the stomach. That is called stomach wash. So they are of 3 types: Danda Dauti, Jala Dauti, Vastra or Sutra Dauti, of 3 types. And Mula Shodhana, the 4th one, is called the cleansing of the rectum. So now we will see these things in detail. So the common ones in Dautis are Vaman and Danta and Vastra. These 3 are the common. Still people use now for ailments. So Vaman is water Dauti. So this will be practiced early in the morning, empty stomach. technique to eliminate undigested food particles which sticks to the stomach lining. So drink warm saline water. What saline water is about 1 tablespoon salt to 1 to 1.5 liters of water, and drink that. Vomit the whole water out. Keep repeating few times till you vomit out all the water. So the best position for doing this is standing, bend forward, or sit comfortably in squat position. So this is the Vaman Dhauti. And next is Vastra or cotton cloth Dhauti. Vastra Dhauti is specifically aimed at cleaning the stomach and esophageal tract. So in this practice, a long strip of moist cloth is swallowed into the stomach. The cloth should be 2 to 3 inches wide and about 20 to 25 feet long. So dip the long cotton cloth in the warm saline water to make it wet. So one may get the tendency to vomit when trying this for the first time. Slowly, this will go away when one can swallow the entire length of cloth with ease. So after retaining it for some time, it is pulled out, thereby cleansing the stomach. And now this is called Danta or bamboo stick Dhauti. So Danta Dhauti is a yogic purification technique designed to remove excess bile from the stomach and excess mucus. So traditionally, Danta Dhauti was performed by threading a lotus or banana stem down the throat. But while that method is still used, the modern way of practicing Danta Dhauti is the catheter. So the one that is used in Neti, Sutra Neti, that is the bigger version. So after drinking warm salt water, the catheter is guided through the esophagus into the stomach and then removed. So this will remove all the excess bile and excess mucus. And what are the benefits of Dhauti? So this technique purifies the stomach and helps relieve high acidity. It purifies the upper respiratory tract and thereby eases asthma and dust and pollen allergies, eliminates bad breath, and this kriya helps to reduce excess phlegm, bile, and gastric juices. It offers reliefs in case of gas, flatulence, and constipation. So this yogic practice helps to clean the stomach of the unwanted food particles left over after digestion. And what are the precautions that you need to take? Do not practice Dhauti with high blood pressure or glaucoma. So avoid in case of pregnancy, menstrual cycle, hernia of stomach, heart diseases, and abdomen tumor. So these are just the general precautions, but um, each person it differs. Basti, yogic enema. So Basti is a yogic purification. It's the yoga method of performing an enema. So the large intestine can have impurities stuck to its wall, which don't get expelled for days. So Basti removes these impurities and cleans the colon. So thus detoxifying the large intestine. So we will see how to be done. Sit in a tub filled with water. So the water should reach up to the navel area. So ideally this is done in a river with a gentle flow of water. So the traditional way is sit in a river with a gentle flow of water. So bend forward and put the hands on the knees, and one has to draw water from the anus into the large intestine. To do this, one needs some practice. Some practitioner insert a rubber or plastic tube into the anus to make it easier. Try to expand the sphincter muscles of the anus and try to pull water up into the rectum. So this may be difficult in the beginning. Hold the water in the bowels for some time and then expel it through the anus. So repeat this process till the bowels are clean. These all look scary, but there are more modern enemas that enema kit is available to do all this at ease. So, but this is a traditional way. So there are also other traditional yogic methods to clean the intestine. So the easier version, okay? So the practice of Shankha Prakshalana is common. So what is Shankha Prakshalana? So it involves drinking about 5 liters of slightly warm saline water. So this is quite an intense process and can be very tiring. So the salt water doesn't get absorbed by the intestines. So instead it drips down all the way to the rectum. So cleaning the entire digestive tract from top to down. So that's why you need to add salt there. So it cleans the entire stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and rectum of any human waste or food particles stuck to the lining of the intestine. So this should be attempted only once in 6 months because it's very tiring and drinking 5 liter water is not easy. So this is the easier version of the Basti Pranayama, Basti Kriya. But again, this is also tiring. So once in 6 months, this can be done. But there is another simpler technique called Lagu Prakshalana, which can be done every 2 weeks. Lagu is less or light. Here, one drinks only 2 liters. That is approximately 6 glasses of warm saline water. Then the entire water is expelled from the anus in few sittings. Again, these are the simple version. Now, what are the benefits of doing this? So it relieves gas formation in the large intestine, cleans up the gastrointestinal system of its impurities, cures digestive disorders, indigestion, constipation, and acidity. So improves the digestion, enhances metabolism, improves the functions of the digestive system, and strengthen the organs of the digestion. So these are the benefits. Now we are moving to Nauli. Nauli is kriya for cleaning the abdominal region. So the digestive organs, small intestine. So these cleaning of these things. So it massages the internal belly organs by circular movement of the abdominal muscles. You might have seen few people moving your abdomen, flattering those things. That's called Nauli. So it is recommended that the person is well trained in Jalandhara Bandha, throat lock, and Uddiyana Bandha, that is abdominal lock, and Bahya Kumbhaka, breath retention after exhalation, and prior to learning and practicing Nauli Kriya. Don't worry about these bandhas or these pranayama. We will look at these topics in later part of the class. But you might be familiar with Jalandhara Bandha. That is throat lock is the chin lock that we always talk about in class, doing certain asanas. So that is called Jalandhara Bandha. Okay, now we'll continue. Begin with your feet hip width apart. Bend your knees. Place your hands on your knees and take a deep breath. At the bottom of your exhale, hold your breath and create a vacuum, sucking everything up and into the rib cage. Hold for a moment and push everything back out. So repeat this process without breathing in or out. After a few rounds, increase the rate as well as the force of the thrust. So we have done this, not say the whole process, but we have started this in class by holding your breath and then try to flatter it. So we will try to continue to do that, but this is the technique that we are trying to do. Now, types of Nauli. They are of 3 types: Vamana Nauli, Dakshina Nauli, and Madhyama Nauli. So Vamana Nauli is the isolated contraction of the left side. So moving all the things on abdominal things on one side and contraction of the left side of the abdominal muscles. For me, I think for him it's left side, right? Yeah. So this is the Vamana Nauli. So Dakshina Nauli is the isolated contraction. No. So this is Vamana, this is Dakshina. The isolated contraction of the right side of the abdominal muscles is called Dakshina Nauli. And Madhyama Nauli is the isolated contraction of both sides of the abdominal muscles is called Madhyama Nauli. And the benefits of Nauli. So it's a powerful abdominal workout. The massage of the internal organs such as stomach, liver, spleen, urinary bladder, pancreas, gallbladder, and large and small intestine helps the body increase gastric fire and eliminate toxins in the digestive tract. And what are the contraindications for doing this? So if you have hypertension, heart disease, hernia, ulcer, or other gastrointestinal ailments, it's better to avoid this practice. If any pain is experienced, it is better to stop practicing and respect the body. Now again, Kapalabhati. So one topic that you all kind of familiar with. Kapalabhati comes from 2 Sanskrit words. Kapala, which translate to skull, and Bhati means light. So it purifies and rejuvenates the mind and body, often known as skull shining breath. When you practice this breathing, visualize your skull filling with a bright light. So this is how its name came about. Sit in a comfortable asana, hold the back up right, close the eyes and relax the whole body. Breathe rapidly from the abdomen. Exhale with forceful contraction of the abdomen muscles. Inhale passively, allowing the abdomen muscles to expand. So there should be no effort. Repeat only a comfortable number of rapid respiration, no more. So in Kapalabhati, only exhalation should be forceful. So with inhalation being completely passive, that is, the breath is forcefully expelled from the lungs by contracting the abdominal muscles to move passively outwards. So the whole process of rapid breathing should be done from the abdomen as much as possible. So the chest movement being minimized. So if you feel out of breath or a little tired, breathe naturally few times, then start the second round. So Kapalabhati breathing. Yes, this diagram says. So inhale, the inhale should be very passive. So no exertion and belly out. On exhale with force and belly in. So inhale, no exertion, exhale with force is Kapalabhati. So the one more thing that we do, forceful inhale, forceful exhale is Bastrika, but that doesn't come under Shad Kriyas, but the difference between Kapalabhati and Bastrika. Now we will see the benefits. So it massages and improves the functioning of the digestive system, clears the frontal lobe of the brain by speeding up the blood flow. At a more subtle level, it also stimulates pranic flow in the same region. So it cleanses out the lungs, it wakes up the mind. Few rounds of Kapalabhati will energize the mind. So that's why we start all the class with Kapalabhati, because it energizes, so you can start the class. Now, what are the contraindications? One should stop the practice if you feel any discomfort in the form of pain, dizziness, fainting, and so on. It should not be done by those who suffer from ailments such as high blood pressure, vertigo, or hernia. Now, Trataka. Again, this is also a familiar topic. We have done Trataka in class before. Trataka means steady gazing. So the practice of Trataka involves gazing at a point or object without blinking the eyes. So the Hatha Yoga Pradipika defines the ritual as looking intently with an unwavering gaze at a small point until tears are shed. So in the subtle body, the eyes are the windows to our souls. And in the physical body, they are the most complex of all organs. So nearly half of our brain is dedicated to vision. Evidence for the connection between focusing your gaze and quietening your mind. So this technique acts as a stepping stone between physically oriented practice and mental practices that lead to higher awareness. So the previous kriyas are all for your cleansing, but Trataka is the one that becomes a stepping stone to move on to the next, that is meditation, and to do some higher practices. So how do we do? Now we are going to do how we are going to do a practice. Trataka should be practiced while sitting in most comfortable yet steady position possible. So any sitting position can be done, even sitting in a chair is fine. However, the preferred asanas are Padmasana, Siddhasana, etc., which tend automatically to hold the body in steadiest position without effort. And position of the object. Say if you're doing outer Trataka. So we will see the different types of Trataka, but I'll just tell you what is the position of the object for outer Trataka. So this is important to gain the most from the practice. The object shouldn't be too far away, too close, too low, not too high. So the best position of the object is at the same horizontal level as the eyes and at the same arm length from the eyes. So sorry, at one arm's length from the eyes. So the above, needless to say, does not apply to many objects such as the sun, moon, the nose tip, and the eyebrow center. Why I say this will make sense when we go to the next slide. So this is the position. It should be on eye level, and you should be in a comfortable seated position with spine erect, and it should be one arm distance. Okay, so again, the Trataka is of three types. So one is outer, that is Bahir Trataka. Outer and inner Trataka combined, and inner is Antar Trataka. Outer Trataka. So if the object of awareness is external, it is Bahir Trataka, that is outer gazing. So practicing in a dark room is recommended so that the flame is your primary source of light. So this can be practiced alone, though in fact it is generally combined with inner Trataka for best result. So outer Trataka alone is practiced on almost any object, but it has to be a positive object because most people are habituated to being continuously extroverted during their lives. So outer Trataka can be utilized under these circumstances. So the most useful purpose of outer Trataka, however, is to train the eyes so that they can gaze at an object for a long time without flickering the eyelids, so that one can gain a clear inner after image for the purpose of inner Trataka. So outer and inner Trataka combined. So what is this? One has to start the gazing at an external object or object for some time and then closes the eyes and gazes at the after image of the object. So any form or object can be used, though a bright object is most suitable, which can be clearly seen when the eyes are closed. Say when you stare at something, say for a sun, for some time and then close your eyes, you still see the image in your eyes after you even close your eyes. The same way, so outer and inner Trataka combined can be practiced. So while the stage of the outer Trataka does help to concentrate the mind, the main function is to produce a clear inner image. So this after image acts as an object of attention during inner Trataka. If the object is bright and clear, it will fascinate your awareness so that you can be aware of nothing else. And this leads to the concentration of mental forces and in turn to meditation. So the method of outer and inner Trataka combined is especially useful for those people who have great difficulty in creating an inner image at will, that is without any external counterpart. Now we'll move on to inner Trataka. So the object of awareness is internal. It is inner Antrataka, that is inner gazing. This form of Trataka is most conducive to exploration of the mind, for there is no contact with the outside world. However, the other two forms are more suitable for general practices and especially for beginners. It is far better to practice outer Trataka or outer Trataka combined with inner Trataka. The nature of the outer object will be more likely to hold the attention of the mind. So inner Trataka is a powerful method of developing awareness of the deeper aspects of the mind and awakening its incredible potential. So inner Trataka, again, the object can be anything, but advanced practitioners, when they do inner Trataka, they do it on the chakra on the body, their breath, anything. Internally they can use anything for their object of awareness. Trataka with the candle flame as focus. So this is the most common method we still use. So the method is divided into parts. That is outer Trataka and the candle, and then the inner Trataka of that is after image. So those who wish can merely do outer Trataka, while others can do both, one after the other. The choice is yours. So light the candle and place it in a small bench or table so that the flame is at the eye level. So when you sit on the floor and adjust your position so that the candle is at the arm's length from your eyes and directly in front of you. We saw all these before. So adjust your position so you are comfortable with the spine erect. Now close the eyes and relax the whole body. When you are ready, open your eyes, gaze intently at the flame. So directing your attention particularly to the top of the wick. Don't look at anything else but the flame and the wick. Try not to blink your eyelids or move your eyeballs. Don't strain the eyes. With the practice, you will find that you will be able to gaze without blinking for a longer period of time. The important factor is that you relax your eyes as much as possible. So it is the tension of the eyes that causes them to blink. So keep your awareness on the candle flame and wick. Center your awareness in this way so that you lose awareness of your body. So if your mind wanders, gently bring it back to the practice. So initially continue this gazing for about 2 to 3 minutes, then close your eyes. So you'll be able to see a clear impression made by the light on the retina with closed eyes. If you don't see an after image, don't worry. All that is required is a practice. For the meantime, try to visualize the flame. So there will be a tendency for the image to move upwards or downwards. Try to study the image. So continue in this manner as long as the after image is clear. So when the image begins to fade, again open your eyes, again gaze the candle flame and then wick, and continue to repeat inner Trataka and outer Trataka one after the other for as long as you see the inner image is sharp and distinct. So then just before you finish, close the eyes and watch the dark space in front of your closed eyes. So now choice of object of awareness. So what do I do as a choice when I want to do, say I'm done with candle, so I want to do something else, okay? So your choice object can be almost anything. So you must decide what is suitable for yourself. So you can choose anything as your object, but once you decide, try not to change. For this will decrease the effectiveness of Trataka. Choose carefully and then try to stick to your decision. Candle is an excellent object for Trataka, especially for beginners. So the reason for this is that its brightness seems to hold one's attention. However, recommended that the object has some likelihood maintaining your awareness on the object during Trataka. So we'll see, these are some examples. It doesn't limit to this, but candle flame, Om symbol, a flower such as rose or lotus, black dot on a white paper, the rising sun, not the midday sun, moon, star, sky, water, Shivalingam, nose tip, eyebrow center, Ishta Devata, yantra or mandala, statue or a picture, or one's own eyes in a mirror, and many more possibilities. So these are general suggestions, but you have more to do. And again, when I say that it's placing the object, we talked about it has to be an eye level, one arm distance. These doesn't apply to sun, moon, star, and all those things. Okay. Okay. So now benefits of Trataka. Why do we do Trataka? So when you do Trataka, eyes feels fresh with the practice of Trataka. Focus on concentration are the two main immediate benefits one derives with the candle gazing. Calms the mind when Trataka is done regularly and for longer duration. So eye ailments like strain, early stages of cataract, vision related issues, myopia, etc. can be relieved or reduced with this practice. Fatigue and headaches are removed and insomnia can be cured in the long run when Trataka is done regularly. And Agnya Chakra, that is the third eye, energy point is activated when done regularly. So it leads to the path of spirituality. Agnya Chakra is on your middle of your, between your eyebrows. So contraindications, migraine. As this practice involves constant staring without blinking, so it doesn't mean that people who have migraine shouldn't do, but you should get some kind of help from professionally trained, whether it is suitable for you. And surgery, any kind of surgery related to the eyes should be avoided as this practice will cause pressure to the eye muscles. Again, this exercise is not suitable for people with psychic problem and epilepsy. So almost we are done with covering all the topics. So we'll just see the objectives of the yoga kriyas. Or Shat kriyas help us to remove built up toxins from our body. So cleanse the inner tracts, namely the optical path, respiratory tract, and GIT, and thereby refresh. GIT is gastrointestinal tract, and thereby refresh the inner passages. Cleanse the internal organs and thereby create harmony between the major pranic flows, Ida and Pingala. Don't worry about this. We are going to look at it when you come into pranayama. And used to balance the three doshas in the body, Kapha, the mucus, Pitta, the bile, Vata, the wind. Again, we are going to look in that in detail later. And develop an inner awareness, build the stamina, practices in order to purify the body from toxins and ensure safe and successful progression along the spiritual path. And thank you. 1 minute, I'll just stop the recording and then